Create and execute Windows command files using the command input function. This video shows how to incorporate the command input function into your program. The input function and its test driver were described in video command input function. How to copy this function and test driver code from my web page was described in the previous video string input function. You are watching a Tom's Tech Notes video. If you like this video, please wait until you are finished watching it, then click my name, Thomas Wallace, to visit my channel page. A welcome video will play to describe my other videos. I've modified the test driver used in the video that describes the get input function to make it more like the code you would actually insert in your program that you're writing that would call this function to get a command input. It's still a little bit of a test driver, not a program driver. And for instance, this set command list edit record, the only purpose of that variable is for these echoes in the test driver to show you what the code is trying to do. Because I put the edit record command list name in the call to get command. So if you don't have instructions like this where you need the command list, you don't need this line. So here's how it works. You call get command, and that was described in the previous video, for the command list for edit record. And it will prompt you with the list for edit record, and then it will return your input function, such as find whatever. We'll see that in a moment when we actually execute this. Once it's returned with command name, that's a command in this command list. Once it's returned, you can use this go to jump to a label for each of the valid commands in the list. So notice what I did here though. I put an ER in front of the command name so that if you have other sections of code using different command lists, the labels will be unique, and also so that you can locate the code easily. This is edit record. If you look for labels starting with ER, those are the labels to process entries from edit record command list. So what this does, and this is a little bit tricky, go to a label that's built from the command name, and the command names need to be fairly short because labels, only the first 8 letters are used. So if you put too many letters in front and you have the command names too long, they won't uniquely identify labels. So these are short. The commands are single letters in this particular command list, and I only stick 2 letters in front. So the labels are going to wind up looking like ER, the F command, ER, the E command, ER, the D command, and so forth. Now I have put some error checking in here to protect you, the programmer, against forgetting to declare all the labels that you need for all the valid commands that might be returned from edit record. And I've only written code to process through the M option in that command list. There are other options, and we'll demonstrate what happens when you enter those. But what will happen is this command will attempt to execute. If the label exists, it'll go down here and execute the code. If the label does not exist, it'll first generate an error message saying that there's a label that's not defined, but this string of letters will suppress that error message from the system. And I'm doing that because I'm going to have my own processing for the error. This double vertical bar says if the first command doesn't successfully execute, do what's after the double bar. It's an OR. So it'll first try to do this. If that doesn't work, it'll do the stuff in the block. And the block will echo the label and the name of the label that it couldn't find, not found. Then it'll just do this message, which the only purpose of this is to give the programmer information that if he presses enter, it's going to terminate the program. I have to do this, as I mentioned in earlier videos. I can't just use a pause, because pause says press any character to continue. Well, it's not going to continue, it's going to terminate. It's a programming error. You need to terminate and fix the error. Don't try to give a program to a user with a programming error still in it. So this just says you've forgotten to program some of the possible values coming back from the get command function. And we'll elaborate on that when we demonstrate it. Now what I do is I jump down. For instance, if he entered the F command, it'll jump down and execute this code to process the F command. I just fancied up the echo a little. That's where I use that command list. So it'll say, okay, code to process command, the name of the command from command group, and the name of the command list from the file. And then it'll go, since it's a test routine, it'll just loop around and ask for another command. You might want to do that in your actual program. You will probably, in your actual program, want one of the return values to say, I'm finished with this command group in the command list. I'll probably want to specify a different command group for more commands. So you'll have other code in here. You'll have a block of code like this for each of the command groups that you're putting in your program. And my test group here is called edit record. So you might have a file management section or whatever, another section of code like this. And you would probably say FM for file management, and then you would have the label starting with FM and then the commands from that set of commands from that command list. So that's pretty much it. And again, this is a block that's executed if this goto fails, and that's because there's a missing label. You, the programmer, forgot to put one of the branches, program one of the branches. So we'll test it out. That block ends here. And by the way, supposedly there is a way to continue from this error branch, and I Googled a few of them and they didn't work for me. So you might or might not want to try to get the program to continue after this programming error. I would recommend against that. You should fix that programming error before going any further. And again, it says you're missing a label down here that you need. So it will terminate. So when this block finishes executing, you might think you could put a goto in there and avoid that. Well, that doesn't quite work. So the simplest thing to do with a programming error is to abort the program, fix the programming error, and then do the program again. So let's demonstrate how the program actually works. So we've executed the program. It has called get command to look up command list edit record. It found the record, and now it's displaying the commands available for that command group or command list entry. So there are the commands. Now note, as I said, I haven't programmed in all the returns because I want to demonstrate the error return code. I've gone down through ERM, the M command in the edit records group. That's this one. That means that if I enter C or R, I'll demonstrate the error return. So let's start by entering one of the commands that's valid, like F. Code to process command F from command group edit record. And then it prompts for another command in that group. We'll do one more legal one, an E for edit record. Again, it says code to process command E from command group edit record. And it'll keep doing that. So presumably you're in a group of functions that you're going to execute until you're through with all the functions in that group. And then you would probably have the R code, and I don't have that in the test here. You would probably have the R code take you out of this group and go prompt you for which group you want to do next. So let's just enter a command that's not in the group at all, such as G, and let's see what happens there. Again, that didn't get back to this test group because the command routine get command won't return until you return either the default or a valid selection from the list. So it's going to stay in there and it's going to say, well, I couldn't find it, try again. It prompts you again for the same list that you were trying to enter before. Now when you finally enter one that's legal, let's do the D. Sure enough, it comes back and it processes command D in this code here, right here. Your code would go here to do whatever you want to do with that command. Now let's enter one that we forgot to label for. So the C, I don't have a label for, and the R, I don't have a label for. So either one of those. Let's do the C. What happens is it triggers this error. It says that command, the goto, failed. This cancels the system message, which would have said label not found. I put out my own label not found message right here, so I can give you the name of the label. And again, it's ERC label should have been there, but wasn't. That would be for the command group edit record, and it would have been for option C in the command list, and we forgot to put that in. So it says, okay, I couldn't find that label. I'm going to terminate the program as soon as you press enter. And again, fix the error, put in the code, then run it again. And just a refresher on what the data file looks like, where we're getting the information that we're using here. Here's the data file. We've been doing edit record, and we did describe this in detail in previous videos. This shows you the name of the command list, the prompt that you want to use, and that's why it says enter command here. It says the default value you want this to return if the program couldn't find command list. And again, you've eliminated that error at this point because you've got it set up to a name that it can find. If it couldn't find it the first time around, you would have changed the code so you spelled it correctly or had the right name. So that's more of a programming guide error message. That return when you can't find it. You just fix it so you can find it. Okay. Now here again, this preamble, the code 2 lines are the preamble that get displayed when you call the function edit record. In this call right here, get command with edit record, it displays the preamble lines, which are the second field of the records with a 2 at the beginning to say that it's a preamble line. So it displays these 2 lines. Then it displays the commands that are in that command list in order that they are given in the file. Displays the definition of each one, shows you which one is defined as the default, and that's specified right here are the default for this group. Then it asks for a command, and you have to select from the group. Now, again, when you enter a command that you forgot to program a label for, it triggers the error code here. This gets rid of the error message from the system, but then it says, try to execute this if you can't execute the stuff after the double vertical bar. The double vertical bar is called a double pipe in batch programming terminology. And that will give you the message, couldn't find that command, press enter to terminate program. That means it couldn't find a command in the list. That means you forgot the label. Because you need processing here for the C and the R, so you need code just like this for ERC and ERR. What we've presented in this video in terms of new ways to do things is this error processing method. And we've shown you how to use a variable in a goto statement for branching. I think we've covered all the coding features that are used in this video for showing how to actually use get command in a real program. This is getting closer and closer to a real program now. But the purpose of all these videos really is to show you how you develop these sorts of programs for building a program of your own, and little coding quirks in the batch file programming that you would need to know. In real life, this would be a section of code in a much larger program, and there would be other sections to process other command groups. And in each of the command groups, you'd probably have a command to change command groups, and then it would go back and list the command groups. So one of the next things we'll be changing is we'll have an option at the beginning of our test program that will list the command lists. It'll list the command groups at the top and let you select which group you want to be in. And then you would have a group like this for each of the commands in the command list. So we may have to make some minor changes to the data file organization, especially in the header record for the command lists, but we will see. That'll be in a following video. Thanks for watching my video. If you like this video, please click my name, Thomas Wallace, to visit my channel page to watch my other videos.